Jessica Miller was a bright, 27-year-old teacher from Ohio who set out on what was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime in Dubai. But when her smiling social media posts suddenly stopped, her disappearance pulled Detective Omar Rahman, FBI agent Lisa Carter, and two shadowy figures, Kareem Haddad and Aisha Khan, into a chilling web of lies, betrayal, and international crime. What began as a dream vacation would unravel into a nightmare that exposed a hidden network darker than anyone imagined. Jessica Miller was the kind of person who carried light wherever she went. At 27, she had already built a reputation in her Columbus, Ohio community as one of the most devoted teachers at Willow Creek Elementary. Parents praised her patience, her creativity in the classroom, and her ability to connect with children who struggled. Jessica had a warmth that made her stand out, the type of kindness that seemed rare in today's world. Outside of school, she was equally vibrant, an avid traveler, a lover of books, and someone who never turned down an opportunity for adventure. Her life, on the surface, looked perfect. She rented a cozy apartment near downtown, spent weekends with her closest friends, and often visited her parents, who lived only a short drive away. Jessica had worked hard to find balance between her career and her passions. Travel was at the top of that list. Each summer, while her colleagues rested at home, Jessica was somewhere new: France, Mexico, Thailand. She would immerse herself in the culture, learning phrases in the local language, exploring street markets, and writing long posts about her experiences. When she announced to her friends that she would be traveling to Dubai that summer, no one was surprised. It was just Jessica being Jessica, chasing the thrill of discovery. Some warned her about going alone, reminding her that Dubai was a place with different laws and customs. She smiled, assuring them she had researched everything and would be careful. For Jessica, life was about experiences, not fears. Looking back, everyone would recall those final weeks before her trip. The excitement in her voice, the glow in her eyes, the detailed itinerary she proudly shared. None of them could have guessed this trip would mark the beginning of a nightmare. Dubai greeted Jessica with a mix of modern glamour and ancient tradition. From the moment she stepped out of the airport, she was captivated by the city's contrasts. The towering glass skyscrapers glistening under the desert sun, the aroma of spices drifting from nearby souks, and the call to prayer echoing between luxury hotels and shopping malls. For Jessica, it felt like stepping into a place that was both futuristic and timeless. She spent her first days exploring like any excited traveler. She visited the Burj Khalifa, standing at the observation deck in awe as the city spread out beneath her like a map. She took a desert safari, snapping photos of rolling sand dunes glowing orange under the setting sun. Her social media came alive with updates, smiling selfies, videos of bustling streets, and snapshots of her sipping coffee at a rooftop cafe overlooking the skyline. Friends back home flooded her posts with comments, telling her how jealous they were of her adventures. Jessica loved wandering alone, moving at her own pace, blending into the rhythm of the city. She strolled through the gold souk, mesmerized by windows dripping with jewelry, and marveled at the traditional dhows floating along Dubai Creek. The city was safe, welcoming, and fascinating to her. Yet behind the sparkle, there were hints of something less comforting, moments she brushed off at the time. She noticed a man lingering too long near her table in a cafe, or the uneasy feeling of being watched as she left a shopping center. She laughed at her own paranoia, convincing herself it was nothing. The first week passed like a dream. Her photos painted a picture of joy, adventure, and freedom. But then, just as suddenly as it began, her updates stopped. Friends would later recall how unusual that silence felt. For someone like Jessica, it was the first sign that something was very wrong. Jessica's silence stretched into days, and then weeks. At first, her parents assumed she was busy exploring, caught up in the excitement of her trip. But when phone calls went unanswered and text messages were left undelivered, without replies, concern quickly turned into fear. By the fourth week, panic set in. Her parents filed a missing persons report in Ohio, which led to immediate contact with the U.S. Embassy in Dubai. Officials confirmed what her family dreaded most. Jessica had not checked out of her hotel. Even more alarming, her passport, wallet, and luggage were still inside her room, untouched, as if she had simply walked out and never returned. The Dubai police launched an investigation, beginning with the last confirmed sighting of her at the hotel. Security cameras revealed Jessica leaving the lobby late one evening. She wore casual clothes, jeans, a simple top, and sneakers, and appeared calm, as if she were heading for a short stroll. That was the final image of her. The footage showed no one following her and no unusual activity in the lobby. It was as if she had stepped out into the night and disappeared without a trace. Authorities canvassed the area, checking nearby restaurants, shops, and metro stations. Witnesses were vague. A shop owner thought he might have seen her pass by, while a taxi driver insisted he recognized her photo but couldn't recall where he had dropped her. The leads were scattered, inconsistent, and frustratingly thin. For her family back home, the reality was unbearable. Jessica was not the kind of person to vanish without contacting someone. The silence was uncharacteristic, the circumstances chilling. The once exciting adventure had now transformed into a mystery that was rapidly gaining international attention, with more questions than answers. The case quickly gained momentum when two key investigators were assigned to work together despite coming from different parts of the world. Detective Omar Rahman, a seasoned officer with the Dubai police, had handled cases involving missing tourists before. He was known for his methodical approach and calm demeanor, someone who rarely allowed emotions to cloud his judgment. On the other side was Detective Lisa Carter, an FBI agent sent from Washington to assist, as Jessica was an American citizen. Lisa had a reputation for persistence, never letting go of even the smallest clue. From the start, the two detectives recognized the challenges ahead. Dubai was a sprawling, fast-paced city with millions of residents and visitors, and the trail of one missing tourist could easily vanish in the noise of everyday life. Still, they began piecing together Jessica's final movements. Hotel staff were questioned, her room carefully examined, and her belongings cataloged. Nothing suggested she had planned to disappear. The first breakthrough came from hours of CCTV footage collected from nearby areas. At first, the recordings revealed nothing unusual. Jessica was spotted leaving the hotel lobby, walking casually down the street. But 2 blocks away, the footage revealed a chilling detail. She entered a black SUV parked near a quiet intersection. No struggle was visible. It appeared she got in willingly. This discovery raised immediate questions. Who was driving the vehicle? Why had Jessica entered it? And where had the car gone next? Investigators traced the SUV through the city's advanced surveillance system, following it across multiple intersections before it disappeared into a blind spot near the outskirts. For Omar and Lisa, this was the first real lead in a case that already felt like it was slipping into dangerous territory. The black SUV became the center of the investigation, and tracing its ownership was a crucial step. Registration records quickly revealed the vehicle belonged to Kareem Haddad, a 34-year-old local driver with a murky history. On the surface, Kareem presented himself as a chauffeur for tourists, someone who offered rides to visitors unfamiliar with the city. But beneath that facade, he had a reputation with law enforcement. His name had appeared in old police files connected to illegal dealings, though nothing had ever been proven strongly enough to convict him. When questioned, Kareem admitted to picking Jessica up on the night she vanished. His story, however, raised more doubts than answers. He claimed she had asked him for a ride to a nearby shopping mall and that he had dropped her there without incident. He even insisted he remembered her thanking him before heading toward the entrance. Yet, when investigators combed through hours of surveillance from the mall, Jessica was never seen entering. Every possible camera angle was checked, but there was no sign of her. Kareem's account grew shakier under scrutiny. Detectives noted the inconsistencies in his timeline. He could not clearly recall the exact time he supposedly left her, and his description of her outfit did not match the footage from the hotel lobby earlier that evening. While Kareem maintained his innocence, investigators were unconvinced. To make matters worse, a deeper dive into his phone records revealed late-night calls to an unknown number immediately after Jessica entered his SUV. The timing was too precise to ignore. For detectives Omar Rahman and Lisa Carter, Kareem was no longer just a driver with a questionable past. He was now their primary suspect, the man who might hold the key to Jessica's disappearance. As the investigation pressed on, Jessica's financial records revealed a detail that deepened the mystery. Just days after her disappearance, a purchase was made using her credit card, a one-way boat ticket to Iran. At first glance, it appeared as though Jessica herself had bought it, but when handwriting experts compared the signature on the receipt to hers, the mismatch was undeniable. Someone else had used her card. The ticket, never used, became a critical lead. Surveillance footage from the ticket counter showed not Jessica, but a woman. She was identified as Aisha Khan, a 29-year-old with a reputation that mirrored Kareem's. Aisha was known in underground circles for her connections to petty scams and more troubling rumors about her involvement with organized crime. Investigators quickly uncovered her link to Kareem. The two had been seen together in public on several occasions, though they both denied being more than acquaintances. When confronted, Aisha dismissed the evidence, insisting she had never seen Jessica. Her confidence was unsettling, her answers calculated. But inconsistencies in her story surfaced just as quickly as Kareem's had. Phone records showed frequent communication between the two during the critical nights after Jessica went missing. Even more suspicious, Aisha's bank account revealed sudden deposits that could not be explained by her modest job. The detectives realized they were not dealing with an isolated abduction. The threads were pointing toward a larger scheme, one involving cooperation between multiple players. The fabricated ticket suggested a plan to mislead investigators, creating the illusion Jessica had chosen to flee the country. Instead, it only confirmed that someone was working hard to bury the truth. Aisha, once seen as a secondary figure, now became a central piece in a puzzle that was growing darker by the day. The turning point in the investigation came when detectives secured a warrant to search one of Kareem's known properties, a warehouse on the outskirts of Dubai. From the outside, it looked abandoned, its walls covered in dust, its entrance locked with a heavy chain. But once inside, investigators quickly realized it was far from empty. Boxes were stacked haphazardly, some filled with electronics, others with unmarked supplies. It had the look of a place used for more than one type of business. What drew immediate attention was a small drawer tucked beneath a pile of discarded items. Inside lay Jessica's phone, carefully hidden as though someone wanted it out of sight, but not destroyed. Forensic teams moved swiftly, extracting data that had been deleted. What they found was deeply disturbing. Among the recovered files were short video clips of Jessica, clearly filmed in the warehouse itself. In the footage, she looked pale and exhausted, her eyes heavy with fear. She was holding a handwritten note, stating she was safe and had chosen to leave voluntarily. The words were forced, the tremor in her hands betraying the truth behind the performance. The videos left no doubt. Jessica had been coerced. The staged messages were designed to mislead both her family and investigators, perhaps even to buy time for her captors. The discovery shifted the case from a missing person inquiry to something far more sinister. Detectives Omar Rahman and Lisa Carter were now certain Kareem and Aisha were not operating alone. The sophistication of the setup, the effort to manipulate evidence, and the secrecy of the warehouse all pointed to an organized network. What had once seemed like a disappearance now revealed itself as part of a larger, calculated crime, one that extended beyond Jessica and into a world of hidden operations. With the warehouse evidence in hand, the case escalated to an international level. The FBI coordinated with Interpol, and soon investigators began to piece together a wider network that stretched far beyond Dubai. Kareem and Aisha were not just two opportunists preying on tourists. They were part of a trafficking operation that spanned multiple countries. Intelligence reports linked their activities to smuggling routes running through Iran and Turkey, where victims were often moved quickly to avoid detection. The realization sent shockwaves through the team. Jessica's disappearance was no longer an isolated case, but a fragment of a criminal enterprise that had likely ensnared dozens of unsuspecting travelers. For Detective Omar Rahman, it was a sobering reminder of the darker side of the city he had sworn to protect. For Lisa Carter, it became personal. Jessica was not just another file. She was a young woman whose life had been violently interrupted. Authorities worked tirelessly, following leads through encrypted phone records and financial transfers. Every discovery revealed another layer of deception. Kareem had made trips across borders in the months before Jessica's arrival, often with Aisha at his side. Each journey coincided with reports of missing women from other countries. The urgency of the investigation grew with every passing hour. Detectives feared that Jessica might already have been moved out of Dubai, making her recovery far more difficult. Still, fragments of hope remained. Witnesses reported seeing a foreign woman matching Jessica's description in the coastal city of Ras Al Khaimah, fueling speculation that she had not yet left the country. As the task force expanded, tension mounted. They were now racing against a clock they couldn't see, knowing that in cases like these, delays often ended in tragedy. Yet, amid the growing dread, determination burned stronger than ever. The break investigators had been waiting for came from an unexpected source, a fisherman in Ras Al Khaimah, a quieter coastal region north of Dubai. He reported seeing suspicious activity late at night. A speedboat arriving at the shore, followed by several figures unloading hastily before disappearing into the darkness. Acting quickly, police launched a search of the surrounding area, focusing on deserted villas scattered along the coast. One property stood out. Its windows were covered, its gates rusted shut, and there were no signs of legitimate occupants. When the task force raided the villa, they discovered what they had both hoped for and dreaded. Inside, the rooms were stark and bare, with makeshift locks on the doors and signs of people being held against their will. It was not just a hideout, it was a holding site. In one dimly lit room, investigators found several young women, weak and frightened, all of them foreigners. Among them was Jessica Miller. She was thin, her face pale, and her spirit visibly worn, but she was alive. The shock of her discovery sent waves of relief through the team. Jessica had been missing for over 4 weeks, and the chances of finding her alive had been fading with each day. Jessica's rescue painted a grim picture of what she had endured. Evidence inside the villa confirmed she had been moved between locations, kept under constant watch, and manipulated into recording staged messages to mislead anyone searching for her. The operation was clearly professional, built to exploit and conceal victims. As paramedics rushed Jessica and the other survivors to safety, investigators realized they had uncovered far more than one case. This villa was a piece of a larger chain, a disturbing glimpse into an international network that had been operating in silence for far too long. The rescue of Jessica Miller was celebrated as a triumph, but the work was far from over. Within days of the raid on the Ras Al Khaimah villa, authorities intensified their manhunt for those responsible. Surveillance footage, financial trails, and intercepted communications tied Kareem and Aisha directly to the network. They had not only orchestrated Jessica's abduction, but had also played roles in moving other victims through the same routes. The evidence was overwhelming, and weeks later, both were captured in a coordinated operation involving Dubai police and Interpol agents. The arrests revealed even more. Documents seized from Kareem's laptop detailed shipments, coded messages, and names of accomplices across Iran and Turkey. Jessica's case had accidentally cracked open a ring that had been active for years, its victims largely unheard of and forgotten. With the network exposed, international agencies moved swiftly to dismantle it, rescuing others and bringing additional arrests. Back in Ohio, Jessica's return was met with tears and relief. Her parents, who had once feared they would never see their daughter again, held her close at the airport as cameras captured the moment. The community rallied around her, offering support as she began the slow journey of recovery. Though alive, Jessica carried scars, both emotional and physical, that would take years to heal. Her story became a headline across the world, sparking conversations about the dangers faced by solo travelers and the hidden risks in even the most glamorous destinations. But more importantly, her survival shone a light on a crime ring that thrived in secrecy until her case forced it into the open. Jessica's life was forever changed, but her courage and resilience ensured that her suffering was not in vain. From her ordeal came justice, awareness, and the dismantling of a network that might have otherwise continued unchecked.